Hello everyone, I just wanted to give a very quick overview of how I did this film noir kind of scene. A few people have been asking me how I light and do my camera work, and I thought that film noir was kind of a perfect way of introducing how do I do camera work, how do I do cinematography, how do I do lighting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flash BTS scenes that I've taken of the lighting setup, how everything looked, and then I'm also going to explain the different aspects that I looked for while doing the scene and what my mindset was. The overall mise-en-scène of film noir that kind of caught my eye, and the reason why I really like the visuals and how it, like I said, it alludes to something more. So you can use quite a limited amount of resources to create quite a rich and quite a immersive world and an immersive composition. The first thing I noticed is in film noir there's a lot of low-key lighting, so a high contrast between light and shadow. The midtones are kind of lost in most of the areas. It's either very dark or you have the highlights. And another term you could use for this is chiaroscuro, which is an Italian term. It's basically the same, it's basically low-key lighting, a high contrast between light and dark. And another thing I see them use is silhouettes to add like that emotion. A lot of problems and emotions that the characters have to deal with are quite clearly reflected in the cinematography and the lighting. So I don't know if I really use the shot in the beginning, but I want to just show you another shot where I'm kind of silhouetted as well. I wanted to kind of give that example in the scene that I made. There's also a lot of wide angles used. As you can see in the shot that I showed in the beginning, it's a very wide shot. There's a lot of detail, but also the chiaroscuro, the low-key lighting, it kind of guides the eye and it kind of shows you where to look. Another aspect of film noir that I also noted is that the use of Venetian blinds in the background, like with the lighting to help shape the light and the shadow and everything. So that was like a must for me. So I actually used this room purely because this room has some cool blinds. Okay, so how I actually transformed the space practically. The lights I used are two Godox SL60 watts. They're not very cheap, but they're also not super expensive. I didn't use anything to soften the light. I made it harsh, which is another aspect of film noir that I kind of like, because a lot of film nowadays is very clean, very soft, diffuse lighting, which is beautiful. But also I like film noir because it reflects the harsh, flawed nature of reality, and I liked that it reflects the themes of the film and all that. So where was I going with this? Yeah, so I used two Godox SL60s. As you can see in the BTS shots, I used one outside, aimed at an angle, because if you shoot straight on, obviously you're not getting that shadows against the cupboard and against the wall. So I kind of angled it, as you can see in the shots, to the right, so that the shadows would kind of slant against the wall. If I did it, like I said, if I did it straight on, you wouldn't really see the shadows. And all this light and shape adds to the depth and the chiaroscuro and all these different shadows, and it just adds so much texture to the composition and the lighting. I kind of wanted to add a bit of mise-en-scène, like when it comes to props, but I also I didn't have a lot of time, so I just took some post-it notes or some random nonsense, stuck it there in the background, and then I also had some newspaper that I put around, and then I used, the paper I was holding is just a film script that we had from my film school. So yeah, that was that. And as you can see, I also used a practical light in the form of a lamp. In that lamp is not a normal bulb. I used an Aperture MC. That is also not very cheap, but it's very useful for indie filmmakers. It's a very small light. You have control over color, you have control over effects, different lighting effects. In this case, I just used it as a practical light, which is basically giving a reason for the light being on my face. And then I had, as you can see here in the BTS, I had a second Godox. I left the lid on. This comes with the Godox. I left it on, and then I just had a small hole for the light to come through, and that kind of perfectly had like a small spotlight effect on me. And then I left it to the side. As you can see, the Godox is kind of the actual light that's lighting me a bit, and then the lamp is just the practical, the reason for that light to be there in the composition. I used a wide shot because I want to kind of show all the cool lighting effects that I was going for. Yeah, like I said before, this is not a tutorial, this is an overview. It's a quick overview of how I did the scene, so you can kind of see the behind the scenes. If I do more of these videos, I'll probably get used to it, and maybe I'll give more detail, but I'm not really a tutorial guy. But if you guys, learn something, that's very cool. If not, then let me know what I can do to get better at this kind of style of a video. But I do hope you learned something, or at least you were entertained, or you enjoyed this video. Yeah, thank you.